Episode 7, Worlds Collide, Choices Ripple Onward. I choose neither, I yelled, the words cutting through the din of the battlefield. The soldier lowered his weapon, confusion etched on his scarred face. Neither? What do you mean neither? Vane stared at me, equally baffled. Keira, what are you doing? We have to choose. I ignored them, my gaze fixed on Alara, who was still beckoning me forward. I choose to understand, I said, my voice ringing with newfound conviction. I choose to learn why this is happening. I choose to find a third option. The ground trembled, and the sky crackled with energy. The soldier stumbled back, his eyes wide with fear. You can't do that. You're disrupting the flow is already disrupted, I retorted. The worlds are colliding. I'm not going to blindly pick a side when I don't even know what I'm fighting for. I turned to Vane. Come on. Alara's showing us something. Hesitation flickered across Vane's face, but she trusted me. She nodded and followed me as I moved towards Alara, weaving through the chaotic battlefield. What are you seeing? Vane yelled over the explosions. I don't know yet, I shouted back. But I trust Alara. She wouldn't lead us astray. We reached Alara, who smiled knowingly. You have chosen wisely, Keira, she said, her voice calm amidst the storm. The true path lies not in blind obedience, but in understanding. But what do we do? I asked. How do we stop this? Alara raised her hand, and the battlefield around us began to dissolve. The corpses, the broken machinery, the warring soldiers, all faded away, replaced by a swirling vortex of colors. I will show you the source of the chaos, Alara said. But be warned, the truth is not always easy to bear. The vortex intensified, pulling us in. I grabbed Vane's hand, bracing myself for what was to come. The colors exploded around us, and we found ourselves standing in a different place, a different world. This time, we were in a vast library, filled with towering shelves that stretched as far as the eye could see. Where are we? Vane asked, her voice filled with awe. This is the Library of Realities, Alara said, her voice echoing through the silent space. A repository of all possible worlds, all possible choices. All possible choices? I asked, my mind reeling. Every decision you have ever made, every path you have ever considered, it is all recorded here, Alara said. Each book represents a different reality, a different outcome. But why are we here? Vane asked. To understand the source of the chaos, Alara said. To see how the twisted Keira has manipulated the threads of reality. How do we do that? I asked. Follow me, Alara said, leading us through the labyrinthine shelves. I will show you. We walked for what felt like hours, the silence broken only by the rustling of pages and the echo of our footsteps. The sheer scale of the library was overwhelming, the number of books seemingly infinite. Finally, Alara stopped in front of a particular shelf. This is it, she said, her voice grave. The section on fractured realities. I looked at the shelf, my heart pounding. The books here were different from the others, their covers torn and faded, their spines cracked. They seemed to radiate a sense of unease, a feeling that something was terribly wrong. Alara reached out and pulled a book from the shelf. It was titled Keira Vane, The Unchosen Path. This book represents a reality where you never became a protector, Alara said, handing the book to Vane. A reality where you succumbed to your fears. Vane opened the book, her eyes widening in horror. This is terrible, she stammered. I'm weak, afraid, I let everyone down. The twisted Keira has been feeding on these fractured realities, Alara said. Drawing power from the pain and suffering of those who have made the wrong choices. But how? I asked. How is she able to do this? Alara reached out and pulled another book from the shelf. It was titled Keira My Last Name, The Nexus of Chaos. This book represents your potential, Alara said, handing the book to me. Your ability to traverse realities, to shape the very fabric of existence. I opened the book, my eyes scanning the pages. It was filled with complex diagrams and arcane symbols, a language I couldn't understand. The twisted Keira has been trying to control you, Alara said. To use your power for her own twisted purposes. But why? I asked. Why does she want to destroy the multiverse? She believes that it is flawed, Alara said. That it is filled with pain and suffering. She wants to create a new reality, a perfect reality, according to her own twisted vision. But that's insane, I exclaimed. You can't just erase all the pain and suffering. It's part of what makes us human. The twisted Keira does not see it that way, Alara said. She believes that she is doing what is necessary to create a better world. But she's wrong, Vane said, her voice filled with anger. She's destroying everything. That is why you must stop her, Alara said. You must show her that there is another way. How? I asked. How do we stop someone who can manipulate reality itself? Alara closed her eyes, focusing her mind. There is a way, she said. A way to sever her connection to the fractured realities. How? Vane and I asked in unison. You must find the source of regret, Alara said. A place where all the pain and suffering of the multiverse is concentrated. The source of regret? I asked. What is that? It is a place of immense power, Alara said. A place where the twisted Keira draws her strength. If you can sever her connection to the source, you can weaken her, make her vulnerable. Where is it? Vane asked. It is hidden deep within the labyrinth of reflections, Alara said. Guarded by the twisted Keira's most loyal servants. We have to go back, I asked, groaning. There is no other way, Alara said. You must confront the source of regret, and you must break the twisted Keira's hold on it. All right, I said, my voice filled with determination. Let's do it. Let's go back to the labyrinth, but be warned, Alara said. The labyrinth will be even more dangerous than before. The twisted Keira knows that you are coming, and she will be waiting for you. We'll be ready, Vane said, her hand resting on her sword. One more thing, Alara said, reaching out and touching my forehead. I will give you a gift, a power that will help you in your quest. I felt a surge of energy coursing through me, filling me with warmth and strength. What was that? I asked, my voice filled with awe. I have given you the ability to see the echoes of choice, Alara said. You will be able to see the paths that others have taken, the decisions that have shaped their lives. This will help you to understand their pain and to guide them towards a better future. Thank you, Alara, I said, my heart filled with gratitude. Now go, Alara said. The multiverse is counting on you. We turned and walked away, leaving Alara alone in the library of realities. We stepped through a shimmering doorway, returning to the desolate battlefield. The soldier was still there, waiting for us. Have you made your choice? He asked, his voice filled with impatience. We have a new mission, I said. We're going back to the labyrinth of reflections. The labyrinth? The soldier said, his eyes widening in surprise. That's suicide, maybe, I said. But it's the only way to save the multiverse. I can't let you do that, the soldier said, raising his weapon. I have orders to prevent anyone from entering the labyrinth. I'm sorry, I said, focusing my energy. But we have to go. I unleashed a blast of power, disarming the soldier. He stumbled back, his eyes filled with fear. I'm doing this for the greater good, I said. I hope you understand. We turned and ran towards a swirling vortex of energy that had appeared in the distance. It was a gateway back to the labyrinth of reflections. Ready for round 2? Vane asked, her voice grim. Let's do it, I said, taking a deep breath. We leaped through the vortex, plunging into darkness. The world dissolved around us, and we found ourselves standing in a different place, a different world. This time, we were in a twisted version of my old high school. The hallways were dark and decaying, the lockers rusted and broken. The air was thick with the smell of fear and regret. Great, I muttered. Just what I needed. A trip down memory lane. Stay focused, Vane said, her hand resting on her sword. This is the labyrinth. Anything can happen. As we walked through the hallways, we heard faint whispers, voices that seemed to call out to us from the shadows. Keira, one of the voices said. You were never good enough, Keira, another voice said. You're a failure, Keira, a third voice said. You're all alone. Ignore them, Vane said, her voice firm. They're just trying to get to you. I closed my eyes, focusing my mind. I remembered Alara's gift, the ability to see the echoes of choice. I reached out with my senses, trying to find the source of the whispers. Suddenly, I saw it. A faint glimmer, a shimmering light emanating from a nearby classroom. I opened my eyes, pointing towards the classroom. That way, I said. I think the source of regret is close. We walked towards the classroom, the whispers growing louder with each step. As we reached the door, we heard a voice inside, a familiar voice. I'm so disappointed in you, Keira, the voice said. You had so much potential, but you wasted it all. I recognized the voice. It was Mrs. Davis, my old English teacher. The one who had always pushed me to be better, the one who had always believed in me. She's in there, I said, my voice trembling. What do? We go in, Vane said, kicking the door open. We stepped into the classroom, our eyes widening in horror. Mrs. Davis was sitting at her desk, her face pale and gaunt. Her eyes were empty, devoid of all emotion. Surrounding her were a group of shadowy figures, their faces obscured by masks. They were chanting in a low, guttural language, their voices sending chills down my spine. Welcome, Keira, Mrs. Davis said, her voice flat and lifeless. I've been waiting for you. What have you done to her? I demanded, my voice filled with anger. I have shown her the truth, one of the shadowy figures said. I have shown her the pain and suffering that you have caused. That's not true, I shouted. I'm trying to save the multiverse. You are a destroyer, another shadowy figure said. You bring only chaos and destruction. Silence, Vane said, drawing her sword. Leave her alone. The shadowy figures turned towards Vane, their eyes burning with hatred. You cannot protect her, one of them said. She belongs to us. The shadowy figures attacked, their claws reaching for us. Vane deflected their attacks with her sword, while I focused my energy, unleashing blasts of power that sent them flying backwards. But there were too many. They swarmed us, their numbers growing with each passing moment. We can't keep fighting them forever, I said, panting. We need to get to Mrs. Davis. I have a plan, Vane said. But it's risky. What is it? I'm going to create a diversion, Vane said. While they're distracted, you get to Mrs. Davis and try to break whatever spell they have on her. Are you sure? I asked, my voice filled with concern. It's the only way, Vane said. Just be careful. She took a deep breath and charged forward, her sword flashing. The shadowy figures turned their attention towards her, their claws reaching for her. I took advantage of the distraction and ran towards Mrs. Davis. The shadowy figures tried to block my path, but I dodged them, my energy blasts clearing a path. I reached Mrs. Davis and knelt beside her. Mrs. Davis, I said, my voice trembling. Can you hear me? She didn't respond, her eyes still empty. I reached out and touched her hand, feeling a surge of cold energy. What have they done to you? I whispered. I closed my eyes, focusing my mind. I remembered Alara's gift, the ability to see the echoes of choice. I reached out with my senses, trying to find a connection to Mrs. Davis's true self. Suddenly, I saw it. A faint glimmer, a memory of a time when Mrs. Davis was happy, when she was filled with hope. It was a memory of her teaching, of inspiring her students to reach their full potential. I focused on that memory, amplifying it, sending it back to Mrs. Davis. Slowly, her eyes began to flicker. A faint spark of recognition appeared in her gaze. Keira, she whispered, her voice weak. Is that you? Yes, Mrs. Davis, I said, my heart soaring. It's me. I'm here to help you. They showed me terrible things, she said, her voice trembling. They showed me all the failures, all the regrets. I know, I said. But those aren't real. You're a good person, Mrs. Davis. You've helped so many people. I continued to focus on the positive memories, flooding her mind with images of success and happiness. Slowly, her face began to regain its color. Her eyes filled with emotion. I remember, she said, her voice growing stronger. I remember the good things. She looked at the shadowy figures, her eyes filled with anger. Get out of my classroom, she said, her voice ringing with newfound authority. You have no power here. The shadowy figures hissed, their forms flickering. They turned and fled, disappearing into the shadows. Mrs. Davis stood up, her eyes filled with tears. Thank you, Keira, she said. You saved me. You saved yourself, Mrs. Davis, I said, smiling. I just helped you remember who you really are. Suddenly, the classroom began to shake. The walls started to crumble, the ceiling collapsing. What's happening? Mrs. Davis asked, her voice filled with alarm. The source of regret is destabilizing, I said. We have to get out of here. I grabbed Mrs. Davis's hand and ran towards the door. Vane was waiting for us, her sword dripping with shadowy ichor. Let's go, she said, her voice impatient. This place is coming down. We fled the classroom, running through the crumbling hallways. The high school was collapsing around us, the building tearing itself apart. Where do we go? Mrs. Davis asked, her voice trembling. Follow me, I said. I think I know the way out. I focused my energy, reaching out with my senses. I felt a faint glimmer, a shimmering light in the distance. That way, I said, pointing towards the light. I think it's a portal. We ran towards the light, dodging falling debris. Just when I thought we were about to be crushed, we reached the portal. Go, I yelled, pushing Mrs. Davis through the portal. Vane followed, turning back to make sure I was okay. Come on, Keira, she yelled. I hesitated, looking back at the collapsing high school. I felt a pang of regret, a sadness for the lost memories, the broken dreams. But I knew I couldn't stay. I had to move on. I took a deep breath and leaped through the portal, leaving the high school behind. The world dissolved around me, and I found myself standing in a different place, a different world. This time, I was standing on a cliff overlooking a vast ocean. The waves crashed against the shore, the wind whipping through my hair. The sky was a brilliant blue, the sun shining brightly. It was beautiful. Peaceful. Where are we? Vane asked, looking around in awe. I don't know, I said. But I think we're finally free of the labyrinth. Mrs. Davis was standing beside me, her face filled with wonder. It's beautiful, she said. I haven't seen anything like this in years. We did it, Vane said, clapping me on the shoulder. We broke the twisted Keira's hold on the source of regret. But what now? I asked. What do we do next? Suddenly, the ocean began to churn. The waves grew larger, the sky darkening. What's happening? Mrs. Davis asked, her voice filled with alarm. A figure rose from the depths of the ocean, its form towering over us. It was the twisted Keira, her eyes burning with rage. You haven't won, she said, her voice echoing across the water. This is just the beginning. She raised her hand, and the ocean began to surge. A massive wave crashed towards us, threatening to engulf us all. Run, Vane yelled, grabbing my arm. We turned and fled, running along the cliff. The wave crashed behind us, sending spray and debris into the air. We ran as fast as we could, but the twisted Keira was faster. She summoned another wave, even larger than the first. We were trapped. There was nowhere to run. It's over, Mrs. Davis said, her voice filled with despair. But then I saw something in the distance. A small boat bobbing on the waves. There, I yelled, pointing towards the boat. We can make it. We ran towards the boat, the wave crashing closer. Just when I thought we were about to be swept away, we reached the boat. We leaped inside, Vane starting the engine. The boat sped away, outrunning the wave. We looked back at the shore, seeing the twisted Keira standing on the cliff, her face contorted with rage. This isn't over, she screamed. I'll find you. And I'll make you pay. We sailed away, leaving the twisted Keira behind. The ocean calmed, the sky clearing. We were safe. For now. But I knew that the twisted Keira wouldn't give up. She would keep coming, keep trying to destroy us. And I knew that the final battle was coming. A battle that would determine the fate of the multiverse. But where would it take place? And how could we possibly defeat someone as powerful as the twisted Keira? As we sailed towards the horizon, I saw something in the distance. A small island shrouded in mist. I felt a strange pull towards the island, a sense that it held the answers we were looking for. What's that? Vane asked, pointing towards the island. I don't know, I said. But I have a feeling we need to go there. We changed course, sailing towards the mysterious island. As we got closer, the mist began to clear, revealing a strange and unsettling landscape. The island was covered in twisted trees and jagged rocks. The air was thick with the smell of sulfur and decay. This place gives me the creeps, Vane said, her voice trembling. Me too, I said. But I think this is where we're meant to be. We landed the boat on a small beach and stepped onto the island. As we walked deeper into the island, We heard a faint whisper, a haunting melody that seemed to emanate from the trees. "What is that?" Mrs. Davis asked, her voice filled with fear. "I don't know," I said. "But I have a feeling we're about to find out." We push forward, deeper into the heart of the island. The whispering grows louder, and the unsettling feeling in my gut intensifies. We round a bend, and the source of the sound is revealed. A circle of standing stones, pulsating with a dark energy. In the center of the stones, a figure lies prostrate. As we draw closer, its identity is revealed. It's me. Another version of me, but this one is broken, defeated. Shackled to the earth, she whispers a mournful song of regret. This island, it's not just another place. It's a prison. And I have a terrible feeling, I know who it's designed to hold. To be continued.